Welcome everyone to the 19th session of the Podium TED Talk series brought to you by Asiata Digital Labs. We are delighted to have you with us today as we embark on a journey delving into the fascinating realm of business analysis in software projects under the theme Unleashing Business Analysis Magic, Maximizing Value Addition in Software Projects. Our podium today is graced by two speakers who bring a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the forefront of our discussion. First up is Chathurya Dulakshi, an associate BA lead with a remarkable background. Armed with a Master's of Business Administration from the University of West London and a Bachelor's of Science in Information Technology and Management from the University of Moratuwa. Joining Chathurya is Hasini Adhikari, a senior business consultant whose extensive qualifications include an MBA from the Postgraduate Institute of Management and a Bachelor's of Science in Information Technology from the University of Colombo School of Computing. As we navigate through this enlightening session, we invite you to absorb the valuable insights our speakers have to offer. Without further ado, let us hand over the reins to our speakers, Chathurya and Hasini.
Thank you, Shara. Let me share my screen. Shara, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's podium session where we embark on a journey to explore the magical realm of business analysis and its transformative impact on software projects. Beyond just meeting functional requirements, we'll discover, sorry, I forgot to turn on my camera. Okay, so beyond just meeting functional requirements, we'll discover how a BA business analysts are catalysts for innovation, driving projects towards delivering exceptional value. It's about more than just requirements. It's about understanding the heartbeat of the business and orchestrating the symphony of technology to create solutions that truly matter. So, without further ado, let's explore the spells, portions, and methodologies that a BA employ to weave magic into software projects, ultimately maximizing the value we bring into our organization. So to start off with, we'll start with the question. So I want you all to try to answer this question. I will display the question in the screen. Meanwhile, Shwara will put the question as a poll in the chat box for you all to answer. So this is the question. Je veux trouver la somme de deux nombres. La somme de nombres 10 et 12. Pouvez-vous m'aider à obtenir la somme plus rapidement? I hope Shara put the poll in the chat box. I want you all to try to answer to this question now. We'll give you another 2 minutes to answer, and then we can start the session.
So it looked like we have 100% on the last option. Can you repeat in a language I know? So this is what we want to actually point out to you. So let's move on to the answer of this. Let's move down, Chathurya. Okay, now the question is this. 10 plus 12, what is the answer? Okay, so just want to highlight this is how most of the business analysts get their requirement. In a language we don't know, in a language that is hard to identify, may it not be French as we initially put it here, it would be English, but sometimes you may not understand. So when I started on the telco industry, people were talking about things like call bar, which as a new person to telco industry, I didn't understand what it was. So it is simple as we don't understand the requirements that we are getting from the customer. Most of the time, it is BA's job to do this, to identify what the question is, and the next step is to simplify it. So if the question is 10 plus 12, yes, we can answer it very fast, right? But if it is a question that is coming in a way that we can't understand, it is very hard to answer. So as a BA, it is our job to understand these complicated navigations and simplify it. So we have these, shall we move down here? So basically, there are two types of problems in the world, mainly categorizable. So this is coming from the design thinking background, which identify two types of problems. That is, one is a tame problem. The other one is the wicked problems. I hope some of you may have heard of this, but let me just clarify what those two questions are. So the problems are well defined. If it is a well defined question, it is called a tame problem. If it is not defined or complex or very vague, we can identify it as a wicked question. And then we have these, if there's straightforward solution, tame. But if there's no clear solution, but just answers that could be right or which could be wrong, uh, that is also a tame problem. But for the wicked problems, you have answers that are good or bad. So and then we, in a tame problem, we would know when the solution is reached. But in case of a wicked question, the solution itself will bring out new questions, and it will go on evolving as a solution as long as we are working on it. And then the most important part of the tame problem is we can categorize it to a specific question type and then solve it the same way we have been solving for the same category. But when it comes to a wicked problem, it is absolutely not possible to do it. As an example, I'll give you a very small example, ERP implementations, right? So when you go to organization, you'll do the ERP. So there's the standard ERPs that are there, the configurations are there, but it won't be possible for you to go and dump a pre-configured application to another organization. So it always has to be a unique set of configuration that is specific to that industry and that company itself. So whenever the wicked problems are there, it is always unique and it needs a unique solution all the time. So as an example, we have two examples that are coming from our normal life. The one is, like, let's say there was this huge controversy about the abortion in US context a few months ago. So if you take a question like legalize the abortion, it is a tame question. You have a process to legalize something. You can do it in a way. It's a very complex area, but it is something you can do and then come to a conclusion. But if we need something like we need a change, we need female rights to be equal, that kind of things are very vague and it doesn't have a specific solution. So that is the example I want you to keep in your mind between the tame problems and the wicked problems. So when it comes to humans, when most of the human requirements are involved, it is always going to be a wicked problem because humans are very complex and vague creatures. Going down to the next slide, I will show you an example of this. So this is something our UI designer had done. Okay, so this is how to display a product in a web, a mobile application. So she has done these designs and invited us to a meeting and asked us, okay, what should we do? Which one should we choose? Okay, there's option 1, 2, and 3. If I ask you to do this choosing, how can you do that? This has all the information I want to display, all the actions I want to display, but three quite different designs if you look at it. So this is a simple example of a wicked question. There's no right or wrong answers. There are good solutions and bad solution. So obviously I went to the option 3 because we didn't have the information to display a image. So I choose the number 3 actually. So just telling you, but there's no correct one. It is just contextual. You have to, at that point, you have to find the best possible answer you can do. That is the wicked questions we are facing. So all the software project, we are facing this. So how to work around this wicked question? As a BA, there are 3 things we can do. That is, we have to listen, we have to understand, and we have to simplify. So these are the 3 main value additions as BAs that we can bring to the table in a software development project. So as the BA, you may have heard this, listening is the most important thing. So you do the active listening. There are a lot of ways you can improve your listening. But listening itself is not going to solve the problem. So as you saw on the earlier example with the poll, we say, yes, you all heard it, but you are not able to understand it. So understanding is the next level of information we can give to our projects. So software developers may listen to it. QA engineers would listen to it, but the understanding each of them will have is in different context. So what as a BA you need to do is this understanding need to be done in the customer's perspective, user's perspective. So that is what BAs need to do as a part of their job. So that is where the value addition is going to be. And then whenever you understand it, the simplification of it. So sometimes when you actually give the FRS, the people may say it is something very simple to implement. You may have come across this. But as BAs, you are the person who would understand how hard it was to come to that user story. You may not be able to explain what you have gone through to come to that simplified user story. So that is the value addition a BA needs to bring to the table. You need to listen, understand in the context of the customer, and simplify it so the solution is obvious. Okay, so the diagram shows there are a lot of complexities. You understand it and you simplify it. That's what I want to emphasize during this activity. So how do you do? This seems like very simple, but it is not. So there are many frameworks that allows us to do this. I am taking one example, one framework that is defined in the BA Book of Knowledge as the as you can see here. This is the BA core concept model, BACCM. So you can learn about this a lot, but this is what the core BA Babok is all about. So this will give you the foundation on which you can add the values to all the projects you do. So the requirement is you identify these 6 areas and deliver on these 6 areas as a BA. Then you will add a great value to your project without being just a glorified document. So most of the time in most of our lives, if you have worked with people, you may have noticed that we become glorified documenters in the end. We don't add value. We just get what the client says and document it. So that is not something we should be thriving for. We should thrive to add the value where we get involved with the process. So this is where this framework can be used by you to add the values to the projects you are working with. So within these sessions, we will go through these 6 elements and give you some hints as to the techniques and the tools that you can use at each level to identify to give value to the customer, and then how it can add values to the customer. So feel free to ask any questions, put it in the chat or speak out. We will have a 10 minutes Q&A session as well. We are not experts, we are also learning. So we'll try to help out whatever we can. So Chathurya, maybe you can take forward the rest of the session.
Yeah, thank you, Hasini. Okay, so as the first element of the BACCM model, I'll speak about the need. But one thing I have to highlight here is this is not a step-by-step process that you do. You have to, these are like interconnected components that sort of add value to each other. So we need each of these in every concept that we talk about today. So first I'll speak about the need. Need is the problem or the opportunity that we has to address. So these needs can cause changes by motivating stakeholders to act. So how we as a business analyst should identify these needs are through 4 types of requirements. First, we have the business requirements, which is at the top, which are the statements of goals, objectives, and outcomes that describes why a change has been initiated in the first place. And then we have our stakeholder requirements, which are the needs of stakeholders that must be met in order to achieve the business requirements. So one thing to note here is all the stakeholder requirements must align with the business requirement, which is why the project has been initiated in the first place. If we come across a requirement that's not aligned with business requirement, that we cannot take it as a requirement at all, because to be aligned with our scope, it has to align with business requirements. And then we have solution requirements, which describes the features and functionalities of the proposed system that we must have to meet stakeholder requirements. And these can be categorized into functional and non-functional requirements. And then we have transition requirements, which are temporary sort of requirements that we can take them as capabilities that the solution must have and the conditions the solutions must meet to facilitate the transition from current state to the future state. So these requirements we do not need once the change is completed. These are only temporary. So for an example, we can take data migration and training. So as an example for the business requirement, you can take cost reduction or to increase revenue. So these are examples. And as stakeholder requirements, you can take to maybe to do a registration or download a report. Those are the stakeholder requirements. And how we do these will be solution requirements. We can categorize into functional and non-functional. And so as business analysts, if we do not identify the needs into these 4 types of requirements, we will not be able to properly work with those. So it's really important that we identify all these type of requirements when we get them. And the value addition in this step is by doing this thorough problem analysis, we are able to accurately define the business problem or the opportunity, and we can effectively elicit and prioritize requirements, and actually we can use effective techniques that are suitable for these types of requirements that we got to know, and we can prioritize them accordingly based on the need. And then the next element is change. Change is the act of transformation in response to a need. So if I take change in a diagram, first we have as is state of the current application. And as business analyst, we should have a thorough understanding of this as is state of the application that we are doing. And then we have a gap, which are the problems or the issues that we are trying to overcome to achieve the to be state of a application. So as I mentioned, it's at utmost importance for us to define and get to know the as is state and the business that our solution existing application is in, and we have to know what are the KPIs that we can measure the actual state of the as-is uh, system. And then gap can we can identify as problems and improvements. And then we have in to be state, uh, we have to measure the KPIs that we have defined and used in the as is. So for an example, I'll go through an example. And one thing you have to note here is this as is gap and to be definition we have to do across all the people, process, and technology aspects. So sometimes we as business analysts, we tend to overlook these people and process aspects and only to concern about the technology. But uh, if we do not take all these into consideration, we might face difficulties in going forward with the project. So next I will take an example. So this example I'm taking from the current project that we are working on, which is the CX Info. So CX Info is a customer used by customer facing agents to assist customers when they have issues. It's actually a customer relationship management application. So in the as is state analysis, we identified the existing state of the application that they were using at the time. And as the KPI, as one of the KPIs, we identified number of clicks. And for this particular feature, to add or remove a vase, we identified that a user had to go through 34 clicks to complete this particular feature. So as a customer relationship management application, it's not very effective. So it's actually a pain point for customer supporting agent to complete a transaction, and it was really time consuming. That was the gap we had to address. So in our current application CX Info, so we had reduced the number of clicks to 10. So if I show you the old application, so you can see the UX is UI is very complex, and it was hard for them to navigate to the features that they want, and to assist customers, it was really hard. And so this is the current application. This is what we have developed. So as you can see, users can easily navigate and go through the process and complete it. So how this aligns with the business problem is, so the need that we had to address was to reduce cost, time, and efforts in supporting a customer. So you can see the link between the business requirement and the change that we had to do. Yeah, so the value addition in this is we can identify the change drivers, and we can understand the drivers behind the change for the need itself, whether they are internal or external, and we can effectively address them. And we can also do the change impact analysis. We can analyze how the proposed changes will affect different aspects of the organization. And then we have context. Hasini, over to you.
as a business analyst, context is something that is completely under the radar of the BA only when it comes to software development. So if you take a software development project, it is basically concentrated around developing a software. It does not matter for the software developer or the QA engineer or any other people who are involved in it to understand where this fits in, what is happening around it, what are the legal implications. They are not part of the solution. They are part of the problem. So as the problem experts, we are the ones who are the main catalyst in understanding the context of where our application is going to lie. So how we identify is we need to identify the customer journey. When I talk about the customer journey, it is not about the customer journey in our application here. So in our application, it would be a little journey where they come, log in and fill some form and click something to submit something like that. But this journey is about the customer's journey that the customer will go through in the organization. So any organization, their main motivation is to provide a product or a service and make profits, right? So in that context, the providing of the product or the service, the process of providing a product or a service to the customer and then maintaining that customer. And if we are doing after sales work for them, what are the things we do? And then if their loyalty is managed, if they want to go out of the company, what would happen? So that is the customer journey I'm talking about. So in context, we may do a very small part of that journey, but as BAs, we need to know where the journey starts and where the journey ends. And then the important thing is you identify where you are in this journey. Okay, identify the journey and then identify where you are in that journey. It is not enough to identify where you are. You need to identify what happens before and what happens afterwards, where you are getting connected from. So you know where the entry points to your applications and then what happens after your process is closed. So those are the points you need to concentrate. And then we need to identify the organization vision as a whole in optimizing this journey. So whenever an application is added to an ecosystem or an application is modified, modernized, it always aligns to an organizational journey. As Chathurya was mentioning earlier, that is the business requirement of the organization. So this organization vision needs to be identified so you can align your applications to that organization vision. And then you need to identify how you align your solution to that vision. So if you can do that, then you will be able to actually do the consultation to the customer on how it should be, not them detecting something to you and asking you to develop it. So if you identify this, you can be the person who recommends solution, who would advise the customer on how to do these changes in the organization. Okay, so the best solution I have come across to identify this is something called a customer journey map. So this is some customer journey map I have taken from the internet. What you can do is, so here what they do is you identify the customer journey across the life cycle of the customer, as I mentioned earlier. So you can see here, it starts with the customer becoming aware of the solution that you are going to provide. And then it goes to the options he would be able to have in your application. So as an example, if you are a telco customer, you may get a SMS saying this kind of product is available for you. And then you will be directed to a website. From there, you will see, okay, what are the options I have? What are the number of GBs I can get for a month for a specific amount of money? So those are the options that the customer will explore. And then it will be the decision making. Our application should be able to support that decision. Once the decision is made, the purchasing part will happen, how the purchasing of the application would happen, and then the loyalty and the protecting of the customer and saving the customer in our business environment. So this is the steps that has been identified in any customer journey. You can apply this to any industry you are working in, and then across it you could actually have this set of parameters identified. So as business analysts, what we need to identify is what are the systems that are available in each of the steps, as you can see the last row of this, and then the KPIs that is measured across the process, customer life cycle of this. So this is a very good tool for you to identify a industry or a business that you go into. If you're new to an industry, this is very helpful. Get a pen and a paper and start plotting out this journey. And then if you have a PO or a subject matter expert that can help you with, ask them to contribute to this as well. So you would find where you are in this ecosystem and how your application, what are the pain points of your application, as well as what are the improvements that can be done to your application, and through that align your application to the vision of the company, not to the vision of your software or the what you are trying to sell. You need to support the business if you identify where you are. So these are the value additions in high level you can identify. That is the first, you understand the environment. So as a BA, some of you may be in one industry, some of you like me who likes to jump into different industries as you change your job. So if when you go to a new industry, of course this may help you to understand what is the environment in which you are working in. And the second one, the most important one, is the risk management. So if you identify where you are and what happens before and after, you would be in a position to understand the risks involving this process, what you are going to implement, what are the risks of the changes you are going to propose. So you would align yourself and add value to the organization as well as the software you are going to develop. So those are the two main outcomes that you can get out of knowing the context of a application that you're working in.
Okay, thank you, Hasini. Now we'll look into the element of stakeholder. So as you all know, a stakeholder is a group or an individual with a relationship to the change, the need, or the solution. And we can define stakeholders in terms of their interest, their impact, and their influence. So if we take this diagram, so we'll categorize the stakeholders based on their level of interest and the influence. So first we have low influence, low interest set of stakeholders. These are the stakeholders with minimal power and interest. For these type of stakeholders, a basic communication is enough to keep them informed without any significant engagement effort. And if we take high influence and low interest set of stakeholders, who are the influential stakeholders with limited interest, for them actually a strategic communication is needed to maintain their awareness. And then we have high interest, low influence set of stakeholders. These are with keen interest but limited influence. For them, an informed engagement is required to address their concerns and keep them informed. And the most important set of stakeholders that we have to deal with is high influence, high interest set of stakeholders who are with significant power and a strong interest in the project. So we can identify them as key players and we have to manage them closely. And so as a IT business analyst, it's really important for us to identify the and define the stakeholders that we deal with so we can strategically sort of align the level of communication that we have to do based on their influence and the interest. So you can either use influence and interest, or influence and impact, any way you have to categorize your stakeholders that you're dealing with, and accordingly we can manage our stakeholders. And so, as I mentioned earlier, so high influence, high interest stakeholders are the ones that are the ones we can identify as key players, and we have to manage them closely. So for those type of stakeholders, we have to do user persona. So these are the type of stakeholders who would be users of this application and who will be giving you the requirements. So for a project, we can actually do up to 5 to 6 user personas, and we have to include demographics aspects such as age, job experience, IT literacy. These are some examples. And we can define user personas based on their goals and needs. For an example, view customer information, perform transaction based on customer requests, and also based on their pain points. So and also if you need to sort of enhance or extend user personas, you can actually use some child scenarios as well. So for example, we have taken a particular persona with let's say 2+ years experience, but you based on the context you need a different persona with less years of experience, so you can extend that scenario as a child scenario and do your user persona. Okay. So the value addition of this is we can, by identifying our stakeholders thoroughly, we can establish and maintain effective communication with them. And also we can manage conflict. So if we really understand our stakeholders, their motivations and what their motivations behind the conflict, so we are actually able to give a solution for the conflicts effectively. So that is the value addition with effective stakeholder management. And then we have solution. Solution is a specific way of satisfying one or more needs in a context. So today we have taken this design thinking model to derive to a solution. So this actually has two parts. First part is the problem or the what part, and then we have the how part, which is the solution. So how we do this is we have to understand the current situation, the what part or the problem. How we do this is we have to sort of diverge in this first as displayed here. So we have to empathize and we have to get all the stakeholders' requirements, their issues, their pain points, everything we have to take in. And then we have to sort of converge and define the problem. So define the scope that we actually have to work with. And then once we understand the problem and we define sort of the scope, then we have to we can go into the next step, which is the solutioning part. So when doing the solutioning as well, we can diverge and ideate and get many opinions and take alternatives and decide based on these alternatives that we take in. And then we can again converge and take a proper solution that everyone agrees in, do the prototype and test and deliver the a great solution. So yeah. So the value addition of this step is we can actually do creative problem solving. We can not without sticking to a single solution. We can explore innovative solutions. We can explore the alternatives and choose the best solution for the context that we are working with. And then yeah, we can evaluate the alternatives that we have, and we can select solution options considering the cost and the impact. Okay, next we have value. Over to you, Hasini.
So the last point we wanted to talk about is the value. So when we talk about the value, it is the imperative of the business analyst to deliver the business value. So this is when we talk about value, it could be something tangible like the cost reductions, time reduction, as Chathurya was talking about in the early example, or it could be intangible like the cost. The in this case what we were doing is something we couldn't quantify, because they were happy with the flows, so they were satisfied with the flows. Those things are intangible but adds a real value to the operators as well as the organizations. So these things, value delivery is part of the scope itself. So delivering application under cost, under budget, under time is part of the BA's, the PM's requirement, you may say. Yes, the cost, budget, and the time, yes, it's their imperative. But when it comes to the value for the business, it is the business analyst job to give the value. Most of these values are given to the customer as the user experience. When we talk about user experience, it is basically what we think about is the UIs. But UI as a whole is not a user experience, what we call a user experience. User experience is much more higher concept than the user interfaces we are going to deliver to the customer. So I will take an example of a simple example we'll come across. Let's say somebody give you this pile of cutleries in your real life and then ask you to do a organization of these cutleries. So how are you going to do that? So usually what we do is the option one, which is the we separate the spoons and the forks and the knives in different sections and put it there, so it is easy for somebody to get it. So this is a very good solution of organizing it. But when I show you the second solution, there would be a huge difference between option 1 and the option 2. So the option 2 is the user experience we are talking about. It is, yes, the option 1 is the ideal way, the systematic way of solving the problem. But user-centric way is option 2, where the table is laid out for the eater, the user, to use it. So as BAs, we do not get the direction to whether organize it by types or lay the table. So it is our own capabilities on understanding what the customer is telling us lead us to define whether it's the option 1 or the option 2. So this is where you may not be a designer, you may not be somebody who does even the wireframes, but you will know, okay, for this customer, these information is vital to see. For this customer, this information is not so vital to see. So those are the small value additions that will enhance the user experience and ultimately value of the application. So as an example, when I was, I have worked mostly in the enterprise application, but if you see most of the UX rules, user experience rules, are provided for the applications which are in the public domain. So as an example, it is a website that somebody comes and look for information. So how to optimize that first time arrival, the experience of the first time arrival. But when it comes to the enterprise application, it's quite different, because enterprise application, these guys are working on these applications day in and day out. So they may not want the view as same as the first time arrival of the attractiveness and white spaces and everything. What they want to know is they may need to see very specific set of information gathered together and analyzed in a specific way that allows them to make the decision. So that differentiation, whether we are making it attractive or whether we are making it more ERP, which is, if you have worked with ERP application, you would see the attractiveness is not there. It is more focused towards giving as much as information to the person to make the decision. So that part is something you need to make the decision as a BA. So you can't rely on your customers to tell you, okay, these are the things that are need to be shown in this section, and this section. As a BA, you need to know what is the value that set of information has to the customer and has the ability to recommend, okay, this is the way we are going to show it. So that is where you provide the best user experience to the users who are going to use this application. So this value addition always come back to you knowing the business environment, that is the context, and it goes back to you knowing the requirement segregated into whether this is a business requirement or a stakeholder requirement. So business requirements and stakeholder requirements are quite different, so you need to identify the difference between that, and then whether what's the change the company wants, what is the stakeholders want. So all these combined together is only then you will be able to provide this value. This value giving is the most important part of the journey a business analyst would take within a project. So there are multiple ways of doing it. The main way that is identified in the agile environment is a concept called bang for buck. So bang for buck is a concept where you identify the value of a feature, let's say value of a solution, value of a feature against the cost of developing it. So as you can see, this is a sample I have taken from the internet, of course. So this is the value. Value is something you may derive with your PO. So based on the PO's input and based on different kind of tools are there to get the importance that the user placed on a given specific requirement. So that value is something you need to understand as a BA. And as the development team will do the costing. So they will do the estimates and all those things is part of their day-to-day work. So that cost will come from the development team. It could be in effort days, it could be in story point, different ways. What you identify is the bang for buck. That is your value divided by the size of the size of the feature you are going to deliver. So this will give you an idea what are the most valuable features against what are the most the not valuable requirements. So it will give you a user journey that will deliver the value quickly to the customers. So those are called quick wins. So the quick wins are the most important part that needs to be identified by you as a business analyst. So there are a lot of integrities here, like dependencies and everything. Of course, you have to take into account those things, but you can use this bang for buck theory to identify what are the things that are more valuable and can be delivered with the least cost. So this concept, you can go with the agile estimates and do this part as well. And then when as the last concept, the value addition you can give from this is you need to focus on delivering the benefits. So it could be tangible or intangible. That is what, as a BA, your job is to do. So your job is to deliver value to the end customer, to the end user, to the organization, as well as you manage the cost that is going to incur for this value addition inside the team. So these are two parts of the equation. You need to maximize the value as well as minimize the cost. So to do that, you need to identify these concept as the value. And then the next one is the cost benefit analysis. So this is something very important. Like, let's say we have this feature that we keep getting pestered to do, okay, which we don't have time to do. So how do you negotiate with this kind of a scenario is part of this cost benefit analysis. So if you are a BA, you should have the capability to do it. So whenever a requirement comes to you, you should be able to identify, okay, what is the cost of this, which is done by the PM, so the development team, and what is the benefit of it. So this allows you to prioritize again what needs to be done. As an example, let's say you have a solution that is used by only 2 or 3 people. But it is very critical for them, like something like giving a revenue report kind of a requirement, which is directly aligned with their end goals of the organization. So this is, in this context, you should be the one who would recommend, okay, against these features, we need to deliver this feature even though it is used by couple of people. So this to make this decision, you need to identify the context in which you get this requirement as well as the value it deliver to the organization. So to do that, you need to understand the concept of value of each and every feature that you are delivering with your application or the solution.
Okay, thank you, Hasini. Okay, so one way that you can do this analysis, the core concept model element analysis, is using these BSCCM canvas. So you can see all the elements that we discussed earlier is put together in a different format, in a format where you can collaboratively fill in. So this analysis, actually, you can, as BAs, you can do at the initiation of a project, or you can do this in collaboration with your development team, or you can also do this with business stakeholders as well if you need insights on any of these things. And once completed, this you could use this as a one-page summary of the project that can be used for scoping and can also be used as a guardrail for the development team as well. And yeah, so to summarize, we have explored how we can add value as business analysts through the business analysis core concept model in simplifying complex business problems, and by listening and understanding and how we can do that. So we can actually realize those benefits in these ways. So we can reduce rework, we can reduce complexity, we can improve communication, we can manage scope, and also we can deliver cost-effective solutions. And as benefits, we can deliver better user experience, we can do prioritization based on business needs, and we can reduce time to market. So we have come to the end of our presentation. Hasini?
Just want to leave you with this comment by King of Product Development, Steve Jobs. So as BAs, this should be our ultimate goal to become, get closer than ever to your customer, so close that you tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves. Okay, I'll finish off with this comment. So we have this consultant that is working with a different vendor. When we talk to him as a business experience with multiple years of experience, what I was telling Chathurya is when I grow up, I want to be him. Okay, this guy. So the thing is, even the customers, irrespective of whether it's the front end users or the strategic level users or the C level users, would come to this guy for his recommendation. Whenever something goes wrong, they will run to him and get his advice. So this is where we as BAs need to be, where we will provide solution that will benefit the customer. So the value we deliver to the customer will be the value we as BAs would have. So always concentrate on those 6 points and focus on people and process as well as the technology. As IT guys, we are so focused on technology, we lose the people and the process aspect of it. So to be overall consultants, what we need to do is we need to concentrate on people, technology, and process. So with that, we want to leave you we'll open the session for the questions.
Thank you, Chathurya.
Also, you can have all the references we have used in this document, so you can use them if you require.
Yes. Thank you, Chathurya and Hasini, for that insightful session. I'm sure we have gained valuable insights into this dynamic field. Now let's open the floor for a Q&A session. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, and both speakers will address them shortly. We'll give everyone a couple of minutes to share their questions.
You can just speak out as well.
Yeah, I think the mics are automatically
Okay.
muted. So yes.
Sorry about that. I hope this is not a very technical session. So this is a very concept-based lesson. So hope you got an insight into what you need to concentrate as BAs rather than giving you exact techniques. Because like if we go into each of the techniques, like my customer journey maps or the design thinking, they will be sessions by themselves, right? So we are just touching the top of it, but this is a concept kind of a model that you can use as BAs to improve yourself as well as the value you add to the organization. As a BA who has been working for 15 plus years, I have only come across about 3 tech guys, the development level guys, who would appreciate the work we do, because most of the time when they get the requirement, it was so simplified that it seems very obvious. But to get there, there's a real struggle we do before we get there. So that part is not visible in most of the cases. So that is what you also need to bring, and then that is where your core value addition is. I see a question there. Okay, I'll read out the question. What qualification do industries typically seek from fresh graduates interested in joining a BA? Okay, to tell you the truth, I come from IT background, so I have a software development degree basically. Other than that, I studied SIMA as well, so that helps a lot. You need to understand the business. So if you have the general idea of how business or industry work, what are the concepts of a business as a industry or a living, breathing organism, you would be able to relate wherever you go whenever a question comes. Okay, so main thing is you need to be curious and learn how the organization works, not concentrate on your aspect as well. So that is where our user stories come in. Okay, in user stories we have as a user, I need to do this so that, okay, we write the first two, but the last part is where the business analysts actually need to focus on. Why we do this? You need the curiosity to and the drive to learn what is the background, why this is being done this way, why this need to change. Okay, so that needs to be done by you. So always try to get that point where this is coming from, where this needs to go, not only concentrate on the application you're developing. So to do that, easiest thing is to identify the the business world. Like if you have done commerce in the O level or A levels, polish up on those things. Those things are very important, and when you're trying to bridge the gap. And then additionally, I am not qualified in the IIBA examinations. That is a very good qualification you can have, because that will pave the way for you to understand what a business a business analyst need to do. So if you are going to get a qualification, yes, please go and do that. At least theoretically try to learn it, which will give you a very good insight as to what you are doing. So basically, I was for about 8 years was doing this very blindly, without having a formal BA background, like BA formal learning. So BA can be done if you are very curious about something, if you want to learn something, if you are good at solving problems, kind of a thing. But if you have that kind of a qualification specific for the BA, your knowledge base is more defined. You know why you need to do this, so you do it better than just doing it by common sense or something like that. So that is something you can work with. Agile method, agile scrum master, product owner, those things help as well if you're working in a agile environment. So those things are important. If you are more in the experience level, MBA or something to do with business side of it would help as well. Courses that undergraduates take to learn necessary concept. Okay. Basically, you can use a lot of resources that are available in LinkedIn Learning. I have used that a lot. There are few people I follow. So I think there's one of the person I think Exara, right? So Exara, I really love your content. So that's somebody you could follow to get a very fresh idea in Sri Lanka. And there are few BAs that are good with content they put out to the industry. You can follow them, as well as LinkedIn Learning courses are there. You can do that. BAs, of course, the demand, there's a thing about, artificial intelligence replacing it. The funny quote I heard is, our clients don't know what they need, so they can't actually prompt the artificial intelligence. So I don't think we'll go out of business for a while, as long as you are the person who deliver value to the customer. So don't be a glorified documenter. Be more than that. Try to be the BA that everybody relies on, come to you for recommendations and decision-making points. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Chasila? Chasila? Okay. Okay. Shwara, shall we wrap up the session? I think we have gone a little bit over the.
Yes. I think we have another. I don't know. It's okay. It's not a question, but I think the speakers can read what is in the chat box.
Um, yeah, okay. Oh, thank you so much. I don't think there's a question here.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Darshan.
Yes, I think now we could wrap up. So, before we wrap up, we say a big thank you to Chathurya and Hasini for sharing their expertise with us today. We appreciate your time and knowledge, and thanks to all who attended this session. And we look forward to seeing you at our future podium sessions as well. And I hope you have a great day. So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shara. Thank you, everyone, for joining.